And the next paper is going to be by Dr. Buot, if I managed to pronounce once again the name, which I'm sure I didn't. And the topic is going to be the cultural treasure of the Philippines, the glory of a bamboo dance. Oh, bamboo dancing, excellent. Please, the floor is yours.
So today I will be talking about the cultural treasure of the Philippines, the glory of a bamboo dance, Tinikling. Hi, I am Marites Buot from the Department of Human Kinetics, College of Arts and Sciences, University of the Philippines, Los Baños, from the Philippines. I am also the program chair of the Associate in Arts, Faculty of Education, UP Open University, and also a cultural studies enthusiast and a dance teacher. Yes, so today is about the glory of a bamboo dance, we call that Tinikling. So one of the cultural treasures that attest the close association of the Filipinos with the biodiversity and the environment is in the area of Philippine dance. Our dance culture in different regions of the country can best exemplify the challenges and the triumphs of our people. So Tinikling is our national symbol representing the challenges in the farm as experienced by the rice farmers. This was once a national dance of the Philippines portraying the attempts of the farmers to catch the tikling or slaty-breasted rail, the worst enemy in the rice fields. So Tinikling is classified as both an occupational and a mimicry dance. Now, several Asian cultures, including the Philippines, have myths and legends related to bamboos. In our country, for example, folklore mentioned that the first man and woman came from split of the bamboo stems. Bamboo is essential in the Filipino lives with its numerous uses. So aside from that folklore, we also consider that, or we also take into account all the uses of the bamboo. So for example, several authorities mentioned that the practice of rural midwives to use razor-sharp bamboo knife to cut off the newly born baby's umbilical cord. So in the past, they were using that. And another one, houses built with bamboo splits or woven mats called pawali in our own dialect. Yes, so we can see houses, materials from bamboos. And of course, it's an amazing sight to behold in one trip to Hong Kong, and we saw the bamboo scaffolding. It was really a real sight, so amazing. Another one, when we were at the playground sometime in 2018, when we had the trip to Surabaya, Indonesia, I saw the other uses of bamboo at this point in time in the playground. Right. So we also have, we can also make use of like bamboos as for food. Okay, I'll go back. So bamboo as food, a lot of menu available for everyone to taste as of this time, not only in my own country, but all over Asia. So the bamboo shoot is one of nutritious ingredients to any food preparation. So truly there are numerous uses of bamboo in the world and in my country. Now, another notable dance in my country is we call singkil. So singkil portrays the grandeur of the Maranao royalty, which is located in the southern part of the Philippines. Bamboo is really essential in the Filipino lives with its numerous uses and portrayal of various. Presenting here our own Philippine Bayanihan Dance Company during its one of international tours. This current paper would like to look at the different objectives. So for example, I have this objective number 1, describe the different characteristics of the dance movements, compare the distinguishing characteristics of the Philippine Tinikling with nearby country, and then provide venues of interest in dance education and dance culture. Right, so going to the basic dance movements. Tinikling is a lively dance. A lot of leaping, hopping, skipping are prevalent movements in Tinikling. As this dance portrayed the several tricks of the rice farmers to place bird traps, or we call that in local term as bitik, So they want to trap the pest that represented by the birds. Okay, so leap is springing from one foot and landing on another foot. So for example, if you're going into the dance, so when you leap, when you start with your right foot, you will end up with your left foot. So you leap from point A to point B. Whereas hopping would represent like you still move up and down, but when you start with your right foot, you end up with the right foot. So hop there, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, hop right and hop left. Okay, so that's the direction in while doing the dance. All right, so the dance is composed of at least 2 people depicting as farmers. So farmers are the clappers here. These persons who are holding on to the bamboos, these are the farmers. The bamboos representing the trap or the bitik, right? And the dancers are our symbols for the birds. So these are the birds. The original intent of the dance was it's a fun dance. It was about the lives of the farmers during the planting season, but at the same time, although it was a difficult job, but it was a cherry job, not a cherry or a happy moments together with other people of the community. So the skill in dancing tinikling is very important to avoid being caught by the poles. So remember, the dancers are representing the symbols for the birds. So we need to, if you were the birds, then you need to be very agile and to skip away from the traps. And the farmers, at the same time, in the different part, who went to as much as challenges that they have in order to trap the birds. Okay, so the most oldest and the most difficult version of tinikling in our country is we call the tinikling habayo. Okay, there's a use of wooden pestle, but this is being replaced by the use of the bamboo. So as the use of a thin-walled bamboo, like the Ratin butyo, as S. lumampao species. So this is identified as the excellent species to represent the traps used in the dance. This kind of bamboo is very flexible, thus lessen the cases of injury of the foot. So practically, we do not need to injure the dancers during the presentation, and thus the need to find the best species of bamboo for the sake of the dance. Now, partners facing each other, they always face each other. This is the characteristic of tinikling. And several hops and lips characterize the first figure, which aptly portray the ideal rural agricultural landscape with the community people and the spirit of bayanihan. So they're helping each other. It's time for them to plant rice and time for them to tend the farm. So they are cheerfully looking for means to prevent tickling, to prevent the infesting these birds infesting the rice farms. So the movement of tickling while it hopped around the farm, picking out the ripened grain, is well illustrated during the dance movements of the dancers. So there are 8 figures for the entire dance, but can be repeated. So it would depend now on the dance choreographer, the dance director, how many times would they go. All right, so the second highlight of the dance movement here is considered as a common gesture in some of the dances in the Philippines, and especially the Jota dances, which are being influenced by the Spanish. Right, so the Jota dances described as courtship dances, which can also be given that same description to tinikling. Okay, so there is also this point where courtship can start, the relationship between a man and a woman, or whoever, whatever the gender would be. So the playfulness of the participants is easily seen in the dance movements, placing their foot as a bait challenges the catchers to be more vigilant. So the same is true with the characteristics of the tinikling, the bird, portrayed by the dancers, challenging the real farmers to be more creative in order for them to claim the prize. So what's the price of the farmer? It's to trap the bird. Gokinko mentioned, Gokinko is a national artist in dance, mentioned that thought of it as a game dance. Game, why? Because there is this bait, there is this challenge, and there is tricks to be included during the presentation. Right. Now, another major steps in Tinikling is we call that Tinikling step. So what are the Tinikling steps? This will be more the leaping, the hopping, and all the things that would go through the repertoire of the dance. So this is just like, if you want to imagine what is Tinikling, if you haven't seen it yet and you haven't tried it yet, this is just like going for a skipping rope. So instead of using ropes, you're using bamboo. Okay, so when you go and when you use the skipping ropes with that, so you need not to be caught by the ropes. But in the case of Tinikling, those are the two poles there. Okay. Now, moving on, there's also what we call the kuradang step. This is the fourth highlight of the Tinikling notation. The kuradang is similar to our sway balance. So when we have the sway balance, more or less it's a slower tempo, and it's the time perhaps for the dancers representing the birds to take a break. Okay, so kuradang is a point where the dancers would tend to go slower and catch up the breath and would be ready for the next one. Okay, so a chain step begins the kuradang while the sway balance is going side and left. And if you go for going forward, it's more of a chain step. All right. Now, how about the time measure? So in the Philippines, we use the 3 beats to a measure. So there's a tempo, there's 1, 2, 3 counts in every measure. So if you go for a clap, that would mean 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So that's the beat for our Tinikling, a 3/4 measure. So if depends on the director or the call of the show, that the beat or the tempo can go faster, but the count of 1, 2, 3 would still remain. So if you go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and if you go faster, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, slower, and so on. Okay, so that's a beat. So this is different from the tempo that is being used in the Western countries. For example, in the United States of America, they have accepted or adopted also the use of Tinikling. On another means, they have this tempo of the 4/4. Okay, so there will be 4 counts in every measure. It's just like a marching type. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you compare that with the Tinikling in the Philippines, it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's quite a sway. Okay, so that's the case of the tempo. Now, moving on. Yeah, the secondary data of published dance notations were used for the analysis of the movements. And myself as a dancer and a dance teacher, the experiences that I had helped me in the analysis and the interpretation of the dance notations. Now, we go into the comparison. So for example, from my sample Tinikling, I'm taking India. India has this bamboo dance too, and they call that the Chirao dance. And it's considered as a festive dance with a Mizoram culture. Okay, so that's it. So they have this traditional cultural dance performed and consisting of mostly 6 to 8 people holding pairs of bamboo, and the male performers using as the clappers, whereas the ladies would come in and do the intricate movements of the dance. Okay, so let's go for more comparison. Yes, Tinikling is a pair dance composed of a male and a female, whereas in Chirao, the female dancers are doing the dance, intricate dance, whereas for the Tinikling, We can have the male and the female holding the bamboos. They can become clappers at the same time. But with Cherao, it's always the male counterpart will be holding onto the bamboos. All right. So Tinikling is also a mimicry dance. So mimicry dance would mean it's imitating one. No, it's imitating the bird, imitating the work of a farmer. While Chirao, most famous during festive occasion, it's a sort of traditional dance that somehow would relate to their own beliefs. Right. Now moving on. So what do we do now as a researcher? What do we do now as an educator, as a community worker? Yes, the Filipino people show their recognition of the numerous uses and benefits of the bamboo, not only for its physical survival, but also for emotional and psychological survival through the famous dance Tinikling. So it's somehow a symbolic dance for us. But what do we do now? What other things can we do? So awaken interest in relearning local cultures. Yes, and that's educator has this more of advocacy on interest, no, for having our younger generation having this interest in relearning our local cultures. Have spread of knowledge about our biodiversity at the same time, because in doing the dance, there is a connection with our own biodiversity. Like, do we really have to kill the birds? Do we really have to cut all the bamboos somehow and continue to also to be a help? So there are times that we look at the impacts of the bamboo. For example, the things that are happening now in the forest. Yeah, so there is again the thing of what species are supposed to be preserved or be acted upon so that we can have the maximum benefit of it. Now, aside from, yes, we need to have more education. Aside from this, Heil et al. In 2019 make use of the using Tinikling as a means of workout. So at the same time, it was hitting two birds with one stone. For example, relearning the cultural points of Tinikling. And at the same time, it can become a very good way of having a healthy body. So finding the balance. So this one, it was mentioning like knowledge about energy expenditure. So the author was using the energy expenditure. So what is in the energy expenditure? This is the ultimate regulator. Finding the right balance is the key in what we take in and what we do away. So when we have the energy expenditure, we expend the things that we have, right? So if it's energy, it's calories and so on. So we find the balance. So by doing that, so there is the double way of having the benefits. Like we have the cultural awareness, and at the same time, we go for the health benefits as well. And so with that all being said, I hope we will have a chance to find or to try on with our dance Tinikling. Okay, so whatever we do, wherever we are, we hope to contribute a lot to an improved well-being of the social environment and a move towards an enhanced biodiversity in our own little way. Yes, and I would like to acknowledge the Philippine folk dance enthusiasts, the University of the Philippines Los Baños, where I am attached, and the University of the Philippines Open University, where I am also the program chair, and of course, the World Wood Day organization. Thank you very much, and thank you for your time. Be safe always.
Thank you very much. We are running a little bit late, so I suggest we take no questions at this point, but write your questions into the chat so that we can have at least a little bit of a coffee break.